Hey everybody, and welcome to a Let's Look At that is a little bit non-traditional for me. I know I say that a lot, but this is not a Let's Look At of a game that has just come out on Steam. This is not a Let's Look At of like an XBLA game or a PSN game, nor does this game have a Kickstarter or a Greenlight campaign. This is just an upcoming indie game that I've had on my radar for a long time. Now that I've finally had a chance to get myself some early access to this, I really wanted to show it off. So I should stress this before we get started. This is Storyteller. It's a one-man joint, and it is totally subject to change, I should say. It's in early alpha, as far as I understand it right now. I always get my alphas and my betas and my omegas confused, but I believe it's in early alpha. Everything is subject to change. Now, that being said, what is Storyteller? What's the story behind this? Basically, this is a very creative mechanic for a puzzle game, and you're going to understand it pretty quickly once we get started. But basically, let's just start the game up here. By the way, this is developed by, like I said, one dude. I'm going to pronounce his name probably completely butchered here, but I believe it's Daniel Benmergui. He's Argentinian. Anyway, I came to know this game because Chris Hecker actually gave this some booth space at PAX Prime 2012 for this, so like an hour a day that this game would be shown instead of Spy Party. And I got a quick look at it there, but now I'm excited to finally be able to sit down and play it myself a little bit. So this is the basic interface that you're going to be dealing with in Storyteller, at least as it is right now. So we're going to have a comic strip, and we're also going to have characters down at the bottom, and our goal is to basically create a story that matches. Like right now, the captions do not match the story because we're lacking a writer, so this is a very much like a tutorial kind of level here, but it's going to get more creative in just a second. So before the tragedy, I could feel I was about to write my best work, a timeless opus playing close to the core of what stories are, unique moments that follow each other, creating time itself. I remember starting from the very beginning, so we've succeeded on our very first mission there. Let's move on to our second one. So, this is where things are going to start to get interesting. On every single level of Storyteller, you're going to have some characters, and you're also going to have a goal. So what we want to do is arrange these characters on this storyboard in such a way that it actually accomplishes the goal that we can see here. So the goal here, create a story where Adam was alone, but then he found love. So we have Adam and Maria. We'll put Adam here. As you can see, Adam is alone, and he has a kind of like Scribblenauts style parameters or qualities associated with him. So he likes women, he's faithful, and he can commit suicide. This affects the way that objects interact with each other, and the way that they interact when other objects are placed in the scene or removed from the scene. So again, Adam likes women and is faithful. Adam was alone, but then he found love. Why don't we just drop Maria into the second frame, and we're creating almost like a comic book, as you can see. So they fall in love with one another. Apparently she's not faithful. That'll probably come in handy later. And there we go. So we've succeeded there. That is the story of the Book of Genesis. A lot of the missions have kind of stories they're related to that pop up as almost achievements, for lack of a better word. And there are like multiple ways to solve a lot of these stories that will give you extra stars, which you can use to unlock extra levels. We don't have that many levels in this build. We can probably play through all of them here. That's why this build was built entirely, I think, to show it off like this. So now we have to tell a story of a heartbreak. So there's a couple of different ways we can do this. We got Adam. We got Maria, they're in love and it's all happy, but then we put a gravestone and Maria's there, and she's heartbroken because Adam's dead. Or we could do it the other way, and Adam's heartbroken because Maria's dead. There's a lot of death and despair and, heartbreak that happens in these early levels, and I don't know if that is a thread that permeates the rest of the game. But let's keep going here because it gets more creative again. Now we're going to find a different way to make a heartbreak. Maybe we remember Maria's not faithful. This is where things become handy, because now we'll create Tim, and we'll create Maria as well, and she falls in love with him, and then Adam is going to be heartbroken because of that. We could also, again, do things the other way. Maybe put Tim in here instead of Adam, and then put Tim back like this, and he should... Wait a minute. Let me think about this for a second. And then Tim should be heartbroken? Yeah, there we go. So we got an extra star there for doing it without Adam. Like I said, every puzzle, or most puzzles at least, have multiple ways that you can solve them, and by solving them, you can unlock extra levels in the game. At least in the build as it is right now. I'm sure later you'll be able to progress just by doing the levels. I would have to guess anyway. Alright, so let's continue onwards here. Adam is heartbroken but recovers. So Adam is with Maria. And these levels are very good at kind of tutorializing things, but trust me when I say that they will get more and more complicated as we move along. It doesn't get too crazy here in this early build, but there is one story I've been unable to complete, so I hope that maybe... you guys can't really help me because I'm not live streaming this, but hopefully I can divine it as we do it here. But anyway, so Adam is heartbroken, but he recovers. So he's in love. Now we need to make him heartbroken, which would require using Maria and Tim, and then Adam. And then we can just put Adam back here. And, oh no, he's not happy anymore. But maybe Maria comes back to him and then he's okay. I wonder if we could do this in 2 frames. Let me think about this. What if we have Maria and Tim... And Adam, is Adam heartbroken? No, okay. So this is fine. We made it work. Adam is rejected. Again, these ones are fairly easy here. Eve is faithful, which means we can just have her and Tim. And then Adam tries to talk to Eve, and it doesn't work, and we'll continue moving onwards here. So we got our first complex one here. So what I want to talk about first is why I enjoy this game so much. I mentioned the Scribblenauts kind of comparison a little bit earlier. It does kind of remind me of that, but it's like Scribblenauts with a little bit of the freedom stripped out, and that might seem like a negative, but I actually find it much more positive, because in Scribblenauts, having the freedom to do anything also made a lot of the puzzles too easy. You'd be like, oh, just get a jetpack and pick it up, or just like shoot this guy with a ray gun. Whereas in this, we have a more constricted sense of parameters, and I think it's a really creative way to try to solve puzzles, to have like a narrative thread, and we have to end up following it. And the more panels that there are, the more complex that this becomes, because we have to create conditions that eventually make the resolution possible, if that makes sense. As far as I know, this is a completely new engine for a game, which is probably why, you know, I've been hearing about it for a couple of years, as opposed to, you know, it just coming out 6 months after it was prototyped or something. But yeah, it's totally unlike any game I've ever played before, and I think it has a lot of creative possibilities for how things could move on, I guess, as you get further and further into the game. So on this one, Eve rejects Adam, but he ends up getting her love. So this is another fairly easy one. We could do it like this. So they're in love, and then does Adam... Okay, we have to wait until this one. That Eve should reject Adam, like this, because she loves Tim and she's faithful. But maybe then Tim dies. So we have like Eve and Adam here. You need to put both of them in the scene so that you know who's dead. Like, the gravestone is, like, context dependent. And then we'll have Eve and Adam in the final scene, and that should be A-okay. Apparently that is patience. I don't know what that actually is. It's like a Guns N' Roses song or something. Alright, Adam commits suicide out of Heartbreak. This is where that suicide mechanic comes in. Because... it's actually really important, because a lot of these stories, you know, a lot of these achievements, again, for lack of a better word, kind of draw from Roman or Shakespearean tragedy, in which suicide plays a major role, as it, you know, maybe did back 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. So the fact that they can commit suicide is actually really important. So Adam commits suicide out of Heartbreak. This is an easy one. Again, and remember, we're getting the building blocks here, the tutorialized kind of version of the game. So, first things first, Eve's got to reject Adam. Adam's heartbroken, and then he's gonna kill himself. And I don't think these guys don't seem to really care. They're a little bit surprised. I guess the tombstone having blood on it, it just means he committed suicide as opposed to dying of natural causes. Like, for example, if I just put him here, nobody could have died. All characters are showing up alive. Okay, there you go. See, he died of natural causes versus suicide. Okay, so we'll take him out here. Now you can see this is Werther by Goethe. Goethe? I always mispronounce it. I didn't take much English in university, but anyway, Adam commits suicide out of Heartbreak. We can either do it two ways. He could commit out of rejection, or he can commit suicide out of Heartbreak by becoming a widower. So let's try that. We've already gotten the rejection one, but maybe we have it two different ways. Instead of being rejected by Eve, the love of his life, he's totally okay with Eve, but then Eve dies. Maybe of natural causes. So I don't know if we have enough frames to kind of force her to commit suicide, because she needs kind of an impetus there. And then Adam commits suicide. There we go. Out of being widowed, the heartbreak of being widowed. So this is what I like about this game, is that there's so many different ways to kind of skin a cat when it comes to this one. You know, you're not always just going to be doing like heartbreak through rejection. Sometimes it's, you know, a more creative or tragic story, if you will. Not that they're not already tragic. All right, this is an easy one. And we're getting into the slightly more intermediate or advanced puzzles, I would say. So we're going to put some gravestones here. And basically, this is just going to allow us to create 3 different deaths, like so. So you can see it's kind of like a process of elimination. We start with 3 people, then 1 tombstone replaces a person, and then 1 tombstone replaces the 1 remaining person, and then it's just the last tombstone. So 2 suicides out of Heartbreak. This one's weird because we have like an angel in the form of Mina. But Adam can definitely commit suicide, and she can commit suicide as well, but she can resurrect herself. So I think what we can do here is almost create like the story of Romeo and Juliet if we wanted to. So let's think about this. Adam and Mina should be in love, because, you know, you need to be in love to be heartbroken. And then maybe Mina sees that Adam killed herself, or he died of natural causes. So Mina then kills herself. Wait a minute. Oh, no, okay, we have to do it the other way around. Adam sees that Mina died of natural causes. Then Adam commits suicide. Then Mina resurrects because it's Romeo and Juliet. And then commits suicide herself. Wait a minute. Something's not right here. Let me think about this. I solved this one on like the first try when I did it off camera, but now of course I got the jitters, the yips. Adam and Mina love each other. Mina died of natural causes, so Adam wants to commit suicide, yes. But then we need to have Mina commit suicide as well. We need like one more frame. Okay, let's try this again. We know that Adam and Mina have to be in love. And then maybe... But we can't do it this way, right? Like Mina dies of natural... Adam dies of natural causes. Then Mina commits suicide? Does this just work like this? Oh, it works totally fine. 2 suicides out of Heartbreak. No, but we need to have Adam die first. Okay, 1 second. Sorry, we need to have Mina die first. So Mina dies, Adam commits suicide, and then Mina commits suicide. Wait a second. Oh, Mina sees this and gets heartbroken, then she commits suicide. Alright, I got it. So we did create the story of Romeo and Juliet here, albeit in a roundabout way. Apologies for my, dunce cap worthy performance there. We're getting kind of close to the end here, so things are going to get a little bit more interesting. I like that they start to introduce these items that actually have impacts, or almost buffs or debuffs, for lack of a better word, on our characters that affects the way they interact with one another. So this is what I'm looking forward to seeing more in the final version of the game. There's not too much of this in this one. This one's very much just simple tales of like love and loss. And heartbreak and suicide, but I would love to see some more stuff going on with these objects in a future version of the build. So, Adam falls for a woman he used to hate. Maybe Adam has money. So this chest makes the closest character rich. And then we put this here. So Adam's still rich, and he's psyched about it. But then Maria comes in, and she steals from Adam. Then Adam loses all memory, and then Adam falls in love with Maria. Poor Adam is always falling in love with the bad girl. But anyway, she's kind of like a sugar mama here, even though it's his money. Anyway, so this is Memento by Christopher Nolan, apparently. I haven't seen the movie in like 10 years. But we can also, for an extra star, we can do this by only using 3 frames. So I think we can actually do that really easily just by popping like Adam down here and like putting Maria here. So she steals from him right away. Basically, we're just taking out like 1 frame that didn't actually matter. And then doing it like so. There we go. So we get an extra star for that. If I go back to like the level select screen, I don't believe it's possible for me to actually unlock these like 20-star levels. Although 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I guess I could have just done 7 times 2. Maybe it's possible, but I'm not sure. So we only have like a 3 left here. 2 of them I've beaten. 1 of them I can't, actually. So that's the one. So happy couple grows old and dies. This one's pretty easy. Tim meets Eve. Boy meets girl. Time passes, and we'll put them up here so they get old. And then, maybe he dies first, as men often do. And then she died as well. Now, this is an interesting one, because there's a star for doing this with an age difference. And I don't know how to make this one work. I guess what I could do... Oh, if I go back here, I just realized this might be the way to do it. Just start it with time passed on Tim. And then Tim and Eve meet. And then he dies because he's like 30 years older than her. Oh, wait, we need to get him out of there. There we go. That gives us the age difference one. All right, so it's definitely one of those games as well that, when you play it for the first time, it might seem a little obtuse, or it might seem a little difficult. Not that it's been crazy hard so far, but once you kind of get your brain into that mode of playing Storyteller, it definitely seems to get a lot more intuitive. And I mean that in both a positive way and kind of a positive way and not a negative way, if that makes sense. I'm not saying it's unintuitive right now. What I am saying is that, you kind of get into the mode of solving these stories the more you play. The first time, it's very novel, but as you start to kind of acclimate yourself more and more to the mechanics, it makes more sense. So, this is the one that I can't beat, so I'm just going to quickly go to this last one. Maria breaks 2 hearts, but ends up heartbroken herself. That's a sad story. So remember, Maria's not faithful. That's her main problem here. So maybe Maria is in love with Adam, and Adam's in love with Maria, but then Tim shows up, and Maria's like, oh yeah. And Adam's like, oh, wait a minute. Let me think about this. She's got to be closer. Let's put them like right next to one another, and then Adam on the other side here. And Adam's like, oh, come on, guys. Physical proximity to one another affects how they interact, by the way. Usually it's like whatever character is closer has the interaction with them. I can't really get... There we go. You can see that right there. But if we move him closer, then we'll be okay. Okay, so there's one heart broken. But then maybe Adam it's like closer with Natalie Portman and Julia Roberts, and Adam gets back in there, and now Tim's heart is broken. But then we need to have Maria's heart broken. She's in love with Adam right now, so maybe we have Adam go party up with Eve here. Like so. Oh, Adam rejects Eve because he loves Maria. We have to do this in maybe the alternate order. Is Tim not faithful? Tim's not faithful. Okay. So let me think. Let's replace all Adams with Tims in this case. So Tim's here, and then Adam's here. I have to do this because otherwise Adam is too much of a nice guy to actually break Eve's heart. Or sorry, break Maria's heart. So we're gonna do this, and she's in love with Tim again, and wait a minute. Adam's heartbroken now, and then Tim is with her, and Maria should be heartbroken. There we go. Okay, so we succeeded there. Now, this is the last one here. So I just want to point out before we move on, like I said, this is kind of a weird Let's Look At. There's no Greenlight campaign, no Kickstarter campaign. You can't buy the game. But I will throw links in the video description to the game's website, and you can also find a link to the developer's Twitter, so you can follow him there. Encourage you to do so. See what kind of, if you're interested at least, see what's happening with the development of this game as things move forward. I have no idea when it's coming out for real. I have no idea how much it's going to cost. Don't ask me. That's why the social media links are there. Ask him. Anyway, so go check that out. Peep that in the video description. Finally, Tim turns into a heartbroken monster after a tragic suicide. This is a hard one for me. So, not because it happened to me in real life, but there is a Tim as a vampire card here. And there's also a castle setting, and this castle setting is necessary because if we just put a vampire in, like, the sunlight, he'll just die. So, Tim turns into a heartbroken monster after a tragic suicide. Alright, so maybe Tim loves Mina, but maybe Mina just commits suicide? Nobody could have died okay, one second. The real question, because I need to make Mina commit suicide, which is the hard part here. So Tim's heartbroken, that's fair, but Mina didn't die of suicide, she died of natural causes. Okay, maybe we can do it like Romeo and Juliet here? So we got Mina and Tim. Maybe Mina is told that her love died. Then Tim sees her grave. It's again like a Romeo and Juliet situation, and then he becomes a vampire. All right, I've created the story of Dracula there. Anyway, that is going to do it for my quick Let's Look At of Storyteller here. Again, strongly encourage you to go check out the developer's website and follow him on Twitter to follow continued development of this game. It's super interesting. I'm finding myself like wanting more, which is, I guess, the exact purpose of a build like this. And hopefully you guys find yourself in the same boat. Again, I must stress that this is an early prototype, and everything here is subject to change, not least of which I imagine like the menus and the interface. But also, as much down to even the mechanics of the game, I suppose, to a certain level. But in any case, again, thanks to Daniel, I'm not going to butcher his last name again out of respect for him, for shooting me over a very early build of this. I'm excited for this. This is the kind of game I love to take a look at. It's novel, it's interesting, it's well executed, and it kind of gets the creative juices flowing a little bit. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you found the video entertaining and a little bit informative, perhaps. As always, I will see you next time.